Language shapes our world, and how we use it matters. Welcome to the Sociolinguistics channel, where we explore the fascinating relationship between language and society. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating topics within sociolinguistics, the relationship between language and identity. How does the way we speak define who we are? And what role does language play in shaping our social identities? Stick around as we explore these important questions. Language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a fundamental part of our identity. From the accent you have, to the words you choose, to the language itself, each aspect of speech reflects something deeper about who you are and where you come from. It tells a story of your upbringing, your community, and your experiences. But first, what do we mean when we talk about identity? In sociolinguistics, identity isn't just a static label like student or teacher. Instead, it's dynamic and multifaceted. We all have multiple identities based on our gender, ethnicity, nationality, profession, our personal interests, among many other things. These identities are not fixed. They change depending on the context. For example, the way you speak to your friends might be very different from how you address a professor or a stranger. This fluidity shows how we actively shape and present our identity in different social situations. In many cases, these language choices are connected to larger social groups. For instance, in the US, a Southern accent might signal belonging to a particular regional or cultural group. In the UK, your choice of dialect can reveal your social class, and in other parts of the world, it might indicate your ethnic background. This brings us to the concept of code switching. Have you ever noticed that you change the way you speak depending on who you're talking to? This is called code switching. It's the practice of shifting between different languages and dialects, or even speech styles depending on the social context. Code switching is often a way to navigate different social identities. It can reflect a desire to fit in with a certain group, or to show solidarity with others. For example, a bilingual person might speak one language with family and another with friends, or someone might use formal language in a job interview, but switch to slang when hanging out with friends. Code switching isn't just about language. It's about identity. It reflects how we adjust our identities in different settings. But it's important to note that not all code switching is voluntary. Sometimes people feel pressured to switch in order to avoid discrimination or prejudice. Language doesn't just express identity. It's also deeply tied to power dynamics. Throughout history, language has been used as a tool for control, with dominant groups often imposing their language on others. We can see this in the spread of colonial languages like English, French, or Spanish, where indigenous languages were often marginalized or suppressed. Today, this power dynamic can still be seen in global business and education, where certain languages, particularly English, are given more status than others. This often forces people to adopt a second or third language, sometimes at the expense of their own native tongues. Another important aspect of identity shaped by language is gender. The way we speak often reflects societal expectations about gender roles. For example, research shows that in many cultures, men and women tend to use language differently, whether it's the use of certain politeness strategies, tag questions, or even vocal pitch. But gender identity and language are not limited to traditional categories of male and female. Non-binary and transgender individuals may also use language to affirm their identities, choosing pronouns or speech styles that reflect their true selves. In fact, sociolinguists are increasingly studying how language is used to negotiate gender in a broader sense. Here is probably a good place to mention that pronouns do matter. Pronouns are a fundamental part of language, and they reflect how we see and communicate our identities. When we use someone's correct pronouns, we're not just following grammatical rules, we're affirming their sense of self and showing respect for their identity. Misusing or ignoring pronouns can invalidate a person's experience and contribute to feelings of exclusion. In many ways, pronouns are a small but powerful way to create a more inclusive and respectful world. So when we talk about language and identity, we can't overlook the importance of pronouns. They're personal, they matter, and they help shape who we are. That said, adapting to new pronouns takes time, and mistakes happen. Patience is key. Correcting with kindness and calm fosters learning and respect. Creating an inclusive space means allowing room for growth without judgment or frustration. Language and ethnicity are often closely connected. For many people, their ethnic identity is strongly tied to the language they speak. Whether it's using a heritage language at home or speaking in a community dialect, language plays a key role in maintaining cultural and ethnic ties. However, language can also be a source of stereotyping and prejudice. Certain dialects, like African American Vernacular English or AAVE, or Chicano English, are often stigmatized or seen as incorrect by mainstream society. But these dialects are fully developed, rule-governed forms of communication that reflect rich cultural histories. National identity is another major area where language plays a crucial role. Many nations define themselves, at least in part, by their shared language. Think about France, where the French language is tightly woven into the country's identity, or Japan, where Japanese is both a national and cultural marker. But not all nations are monolingual. Countries like Switzerland or India have multiple official languages, and these languages contribute to the complex fabric of national identity. In such cases, language becomes a way to navigate multiple cultural identities within a single nation. An interesting area of study in the field of language and identity is linguistic landscapes, which refers to the visible language around us in public spaces, like signs, billboards, shop names, and street signs. These linguistic choices reflect the identities of the communities that inhabit those spaces. In multilingual cities, for instance, seeing different languages on signs showcases the diversity and cultural identity of the population. The dominance or absence of certain languages can reveal power dynamics and social hierarchies. By studying linguistic landscapes, we gain insight into how language shapes our environment and reflects broader cultural and political identities. It's a visual representation of who belongs, who holds power, and how identities are negotiated in public spaces. At the end of the day, language and identity are not fixed. They are dynamic, constantly evolving as we move through different stages of life, as new technologies emerge, and as societies change. Today, young people are embracing new ways of expressing identity through language, from using internet slang to communicating with emojis or even inventing new pronouns. The most important takeaway is that language gives us the power to express who we are. It connects us to our past, to our communities, and to each other. Whether you speak one language or many, the way you use language is a unique reflection of your identity. That's it for this video, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you've just seen, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future content on language and society. And please share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think language has shaped your identity? Do you agree with everything you've just heard in this video? Let us know through the comment section. Let's start a nuanced debate. So see you next time, and remember, language is power.